Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome to a new video, a different video, a video about the cop car. So many of you have asked, how do you drive that thing around town? Is it legal? Can't you get in trouble? All the various different related questions to that subject, which I completely understand because this thing is pretty obnoxious. But as you can see, I've done some simple changes. The lights are green and white, they're not red and blue, and a few other things like adding my logo. So with that said, it's legal, and in California the laws are just a little more stricter than most of the country. That definitely make these things a little more concerning if you're going to buy one, because you don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to go to jail, you don't want to get harassed all the time by cops. And I'm going to share with you a scenario that took place right around Easter time when I let one of our good friends, an adult, drive this car and do some filming for me, and ended up getting pulled over by a Newport Beach police officer who's pretty famous for being hard on car lovers, the car enthusiasts. And nothing changed here, but he had to backpedal just a little bit and not give us the ticket. He acted like he was doing us a favor, but in the end, he let his ego, in my opinion, let his ego get in the way a little bit, rather than just admitting that this car is legal. And there's a couple little things maybe you can get us for, like having a light bar, but for the most part, you can't do anything about it. This thing is legitimate. It follows the laws to the letter, to the T, but he couldn't let his ego go and stayed the course and basically told our buddy to leave town. Get out of Newport Beach and don't come back with this car, which was kind of crappy and kind of nasty and really sad, because I know that he probably knew better but couldn't admit that he was wrong. So we're going to play that video, which was caught, which was beautiful, and you can see the interaction. And thank goodness our friend called me on the phone and I was able to talk some sense into this police officer. But now I'm nervous about taking this thing anywhere near that town, which means he won. He accomplished his goal, because he's going to find another reason to harass us. But I am a big proponent and advocate of police officers, and if you watch my channel in the past, I've done some really kind things in support of police officers. And I will tell you, I believe there are more good cops than bad cops, but I also believe wholeheartedly there are a lot of power-tripping cops out there. The second they get their badge, they suddenly think that that's a license to go and be nasty and just downright ugly with the general public, and it's not necessary. You could be polite. Unless we're committing felonies, doing something really bad, you don't have to be nasty. And in this case, I don't think he was totally nasty, but he certainly wasn't nice. So I'm going to play that video for you all. But before we do, I'm going to share the laws with you, so when you watch the video, you can formulate your own opinion and see if you understand the laws better than maybe he understood the laws, and then we'll wrap the video up after that. So let's jump in. But first, let me show you the car. So this is a 2008 Ford Crown Victoria P71 Police Interceptor. This thing has about a 250, 260 horsepower. I think it's a 4.6 liter V8 in it. Here it's like a Mustang engine or something. And it's built on, it's body on frame, it's built on a Ford F-150 Panther chassis. So this is like a truck chassis, and it drives like it. Just a little bit nicer though. This thing is really smooth and a pleasure to drive. Yes, it's got the steel wheels. What I was told is those are great, because if you bend one, you just get the hammer out and you pound the thing back out. So unlike all the new fancy wheels nowadays in these fancy cars, this thing can take a heck of a beating. And it does not have the cage in the back, because I opted to have the seats. They did offer to sell this thing to me with a cage and a plastic seat, but I did not opt for that because I wanted to actually use the car. Now it does have the stab-proof back seat, or the rear of the seats, so you can't stab me, which you never know when you're going to need to have that, right? So at least I have it. And I did add in a lot of cool stuff. So we're always adding car rallies and filming, so I added the GMRS radio, which I do have a license for. I added the green and white lights for mental health awareness. I got this one up here, which serves a little purpose, just to add some more lights. I also added for private property only. Cannot do this anywhere but in private property. But I've got siren, got those things, as well as, hello, the PA system. But I keep that unplugged on the street. It will only be used actually in parking lots at car meets, where at that point it's private property and it's completely legal. We've got the spotlights, in here as well, but I did add a touchscreen stereo and nav because the original radio was nothing but like 1 or 2 speakers. It's got the ticket dome light, so you can really light this thing up at night, which is pretty awesome. And this thing moves pretty good. I mean, for the low horsepower, it's got some great torque. It's very powerful when you take the overdrive off. And I did add my logo for my YouTube channel on here. It's got not a cop, so as I read the laws to you, it's got not a cop in 2, 3, and 4 different places, which I think that's pretty prominent, pretty obvious. It's not a cop. Got a tribute to my good friend Matt, who took his own life. Love the guy, and we rented one of these things years ago and did the Blues Brothers on Halloween, and it was a blast. So when I bought this, the guy who sold it to me actually sells these things, remembered Matt and put that on there for me. And I dedicated it to mental health awareness, and we've got the 988 on there. So if anybody's having any serious issues and contemplations you should not be having, call that number or hit me up in Instagram, and I'm happy to chat with you because there's a lot to live for. I also have I Got Your 6 on here, which is in support of police officers, mental health awareness, and I've got the sticker there, which the green goes with the green ribbon. So as you can see, it would be really hard for someone to mistake this as a cop car the second they look at the side of it or take more than a glance at the front of it with the not a cop. But there was one cop, the Newport Beach cop, who didn't agree and felt like this thing is too much like a police car. So I'm going to read you the laws now and share with you what at least the letter of the law says, and then play the video, and you can decide how you feel about this cop's behavior and if you think that he understood the law or if he didn't. Let's jump in the car. All right, so let me show you something first. This car is pretty special because when I got it, it was sitting in the back of this lot where this guy sells these refurbished police cars and retired police cars, and he had just got it. It was completely dressed up like LAPD. This was an LAPD cop car. But for the last 6 years or so, this car had been parked at the Getty Museum and moved around the parking lot in different areas to deter crime. So I did get the pink slip for this thing that shows that this car belonged to the J. Paul Getty Family Trust, which is pretty cool. J. Paul Getty Trust. So it was at the Getty Museum. It was there for a long time. It was serviced perfectly. This thing is incredibly clean. And maybe in a second I'll show you the engine. And when I saw that, I thought, this is a part of history. This thing's been part of a pretty famous family. And with 96,000 miles on it, I've already put about 6,000 miles on this thing. And they say these things will do 500,000 miles all day long. And I believe it because this thing has been just perfect since I got it. So now let's talk about the laws with regard to driving a retired police car. Now, there's there's 2 separate laws that I want to address. And what was cut off in the video before the camera got turned on, that you're about to see, was when the cop came up to the side of the window and basically accused him of impersonating a police officer and called him out and was pretty hostile about it, that you're impersonating a police officer, this thing, you know, like basically you're going to jail and they're impounding the car for impersonating, which I believe the cop should have known that there's no possible way you can accuse him of that. Of course, this is a younger gentleman who was driving the car, and that terrified him, and that wasn't cool. To instill that kind of fear that was completely unwarranted, unnecessary, and misplaced, and downright incorrect, I think there was a little bit of overkill. So, again, never want to be the guy bashing the cops, but this guy did not know the law. He didn't know the law, which takes me to my next point. To become an attorney in our country, it takes 7 to 8 years of college, 7 to 8 years of schooling. Then you've got to pass one of the hardest exams called the bar exam that exists on the planet Earth. And when you pass that, then you have to basically be an intern at an attorney firm to learn the law. And they highly recommend that you specialize in an area law so you can become an expert to understand the many facets of that arena or that area of law that you're practicing. And in no way is there an attorney in the world that has qualified immunity. They are held responsible for if they have malpractice as an attorney, if they do something wrong, if they don't understand the law, if they misrepresent a client, they can lose their license to practice law. But here's what's really wild. Now, they don't get to carry a gun. They don't get to take away people's freedom. They don't get to arrest them and throw them in a cage. They have to follow the process. And it takes almost 8 years for them to get to that place. And they're expected to know the law. Yet for police officers, something we all have to understand, and in some ways, give them a little bit of latitude, but they're looking at somewhere between 3 to 6 months of a police academy to learn everything about the law. That'll never happen. Now, I don't know that that's right or wrong, but I do know that when somebody spends 3 to 6 months to become a police officer, and then when they get through police academy, they're given a gun and handcuffs where they could take someone's life or they could take someone's freedom, I just feel like there should be less ego involved in almost every decision the police officer makes, since they have the power to remove life from someone or to remove freedom from someone, where an attorney with 8 years of schooling doesn't, and they're expected to know the law. So good thing is, you're still innocent until proven guilty, so the cops can take you in, and then at least you get a chance in court. But I don't know about you all, but I don't usually fare well, even in a minor traffic ticket, against a police officer's word. So it's a little bit concerning. So with these laws I'm about to share with you, when he accused him immediately of impersonating a police officer, and that's when he decided, okay, I'm going to call you, because the cop went back and got on the phone, I'm guessing, or the radio, and got some guidance, I believe, and I hope that's what he did, because by the time he came back, he was off of the police impersonation. But let me read you police impersonation. It's for California, the Penal Code, Section 538D. I'll put it on the screen. Any person other than one who by law is given the authority of a peace officer who willfully wears, exhibits, or uses the authorized uniform, insignia, emblem, device, label, certificate, card, or writing of a peace officer with the intent, keyword, of fraudulently impersonating a peace officer or of fraudulently inducing the belief that he or she is a police officer is guilty of a misdemeanor. And it goes on to reiterate those points and what the punishments are. Here's the deal. It says not a cop on it 4 separate places. It doesn't say police anywhere on the car. It doesn't, yes, it might have the similar colors, which we'll talk about that law in a second. But we even did some modifications to that to make sure that there is not a police car in America that has this design on the doors either. And OC Motivator in no way could ever be mistaken for the words police or sheriff or constable or highway patrol or anything like that. So that was a huge stretch. Plus there has to be intent. Plus there has to be a badge involved where someone says, hey, I'm a cop, look at my badge. When it says not a cop and you're driving around, yes, people do get nervous and concerned when they see this thing, but then they quickly realize that it's not a police officer. And I've driven this thing 6,000 miles now. And yes, cars slow down in front of me because they think a cop's coming up. And then the blurriness goes away. They get alongside the car or they see the not a cop on the front. And then all of a sudden, they don't care again and they're boogieing back down the highway. So even though it's a Crown Vic and it's got a light bar, they can recognize very quickly that this thing is not a police car. Secondly, with the green and white lights, nowhere on the planet is somebody think if green and white lights turn on, that means it's a police officer. So we don't have red and blues. So I would tell you, if you get one of these cars, do not get red and blues, because red and blues, that's pretty much an international sign of peace officer, of law enforcement. So if you do red and blues and you get accused of impersonating, it's going to be evidence used against you. Next, there is a law that I told him when you see the video to give him this law. I said, get it out of the glove compartment and hand it to him, because the law does support what we did with this cop car. And if he reads it, he'll know that and he'll understand it and let you go. So let me read the law. 27605 in the California Vehicle Code. No person shall own or operate a motor vehicle painted in the manner described in section 4800, which is the police cars, to resemble a motor vehicle used by a peace officer or traffic officer on duty for the primary purpose of enforcing the provisions of Division 10, commencing with Section 20,000, or Division 11, commencing with Section 21,000, pursuant to Section 4,800. Here's the kicker. The provisions of this section shall not apply to vehicles which are painted one solid color or to vehicles first registered on or before January 1, 1979. So some of those vintage cop cars are okay. You see them at car shows all the time. Next, this is key. These provisions shall not apply to vehicles which are any of the following. 1, owned by vehicle manufacturers or dealers. 2, used by law enforcement agencies in the enforcement of the provisions of Division 10 and Section 20,000, Division 11, Section 21,000. And then, here's the part that he just could not understand. Owned by persons or companies who use the vehicles exclusively for movie or television production and display signs stating movie car prominently on the doors, which are on the doors, and this car is used for filming YouTube videos. So let me go through this a little slower here, because this is where the cop got confused, because he came back and said, as you'll see in the video, oh no, you can't drive that car unless you're filming. That's not what it says. It says we're excluded from this black and white paint theme, if it's owned by persons or companies who use the vehicles exclusively for movie or television production and display signs stating movie car prominently on the doors. All it has to do is be owned by a company. It's owned by OC Motivator Inc., and I am a YouTuber. It is on YouTube. It is being used for filming. Now, the definition of movie, I figured that somebody would take issue with that one and say, well, it's not really intended for that. You know, it's intended for like motion pictures. Okay, here's the actual definition, which is stupid that I have to put this, but I felt like after that last interaction that we have to. The definition of movie is a recording of moving images that tells a story that people watch on a screen or television. So, screen, if you're watching on your phone right now, that's a screen. If you're watching on a TV right now, that's a screen. This law was written probably before anybody even knew or talked about what YouTube was as much as they do now, or social media. So this would be very arguable. I've talked to 4 different police departments, and a district attorney who all said, we don't see any problem with that car. If you watch my older video with Highway Patrol Officer, he looked at it and he goes, I have no problem with that car. And back then, it didn't even have all the OC Motivator stuff on it, and the not a cop stuff on it. And he was totally cool with it. So this cop in Newport Beach was making up the laws. When he says, nope, you're not filming right now, well, they were getting gas. There's tons of cameras. Let me show you in this car. There's a camera there. There's a camera there. Well, there's a mount. The camera's charging. There's another camera right there. And there's more cameras in here. I've got a camera equipment in here for filming. So this car is used for filming. That's what it's for. I mean, what else would it be for? Now, it's a lot of fun to drive, and it's very comfortable, and it's very, very safe as well. But that's where that comes from. So now let's play that video, and then you tell me your opinions in the comments below. Let me know if you think, am I just trying to game the system here, or was this cop out of line in accusing him of impersonating a police officer? And does this fall under 27605? I mean, I'm thinking it does, but you tell me what you think. And if I'm crazy, then you know what? We'll paint this thing hot pink or wrap it like my wife's car, and we'll call it a day, right? All right, so let's go ahead and play that video.
I got pulled over for impersonating a cop. Told him about the green and white lights, how we bought it like this. He's been cool so far. He's just saying that we're impersonating, but we got the black and white zigzag, we got the OC Motivator YouTube movie car, not a cop, all over it. Hey man, I just got pulled over.
Oh.
I know. He said that I'm impersonating a cop. I told him about the zigzag, the YouTube, the movie.
Show him open the glove compartment. There's a 2-folded. Were you running the lights and stuff?
No.
Okay, well then open up the glove compartment, the center console. There's a folded 2-sheet of paper, and it shows the law. Hand on the law and say it's a movie car, it's a YouTube car.
Where?
And show him. It's just folded in half.
Okay.
Piece of paper, and it shows the law, hand on the law, say it's a film car. We're filming
All right.
for social media, not while we're driving. And it says movie car on the side. It's exemption. It's exempted.
He's taking pictures of the car right now in my license.
We'll show him the law.
Hey, excuse me, sir. I do happen to have a copy of the law right here. But this is a movie car.
And it says not a cop all over it.
It says not a cop. It says movie car all over it. Let's take a look. This is the guy that owns it. He's on the phone right now. Brad, you're on speaker.
Okay, so owned by the person or companies who use the vehicle exclusively for movie or television productions and a sign stating movie car prominently on the door. Is the car being used for a movie or television production right now?
They're definitely filming today. They're supposed to be getting me footage while they're out there.
Okay, well currently he's not. They were sitting at a gas station and he's driving down the street, so it's not being used for filming or movie purposes.
So can you just tell him to bring that thing back to me right now then? I mean, do you have to... I mean, he's a kid. I mean, they're out...
I'm 18, man.
I mean, you can look at the channel. The car's all over my channel.
That's fine. So,
It's for filming. I mean, I hate to ruin the kid's life to call him impersonating because it is under the law.
no. Listen, I'm not doing anything crazy like that. I'm giving him a citation. The citation's actually going to be issued to you because you're the owner of the car.
Okay. And what's it for?
It's for the 27605 section. No person shall own or operate a motor vehicle painted in the manner described as blah 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 to resemble a peace officer on duty for the purpose of enforcing yada yada yada.
Right. So just so you know, I mean, if you want to look at my channel, I actually ran it by both the Highway Patrol and the Orange County Sheriff's Department,
Okay.
as well as Laguna Beach PD, and all of them said that that car is fine.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you can give us a break, I don't need to waste the court's time, my time. It says movie car prominently. The car is all over my YouTube channel. It is used for filming.
Okay.
And it's legal. And it says not a cop all over it. So there's no way it can be. And it's in prevention. The car is being used for suicide prevention. If you look at the stickers,
It's got the 988.
I see. So here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut him a break, okay? But listen.
God bless you. And
I'm telling
bring
you.
it back now, and he's never going to drive it again.
Okay, and I don't want you to ding the driver, okay? But what you need to understand is the car's not being used for filming right now. It's not for the movie. It's not on the television. That's what the law explicitly states. It's not a movie. It's got to be filmed for movie or television purposes. That's not what's going on. Okay? So that is a violation of the law.
All right.
Because
I stripped all the cop stuff off of it and everything, and those cars are amazing, and we're big supporters. They even have the license plate on the back.
I got you, but I'm just telling you what's going on right now. Okay, I appreciate the support and all that stuff, but I'll cut you a break. But he's got to drive the car straight back, and it explicitly states what the vehicle can be used for, the purposes that the vehicle can be used for. It's not being used for that purpose currently, so therefore it's a violation. Make sense?
No, I appreciate it. I respect you, and I respect your feelings, and tell him to, and I won't take it out on him, but he needs to get it back, and
okay.
And I appreciate it very
All right,
much.
sir.
So thank you for the break.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Make sense?
Yeah. I'm just wondering how, because we are shooting for a beach scene, and if I'm running out of gas,
or television?
It's for his channel and stuff.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you're hanging out at the gas station. You're driving down the street. It's not being used for that purpose. So.
We are hanging out at the gas station because she had to.
I had to use the restroom.
I understand.
Restroom,
you
all
gotta
that.
use the restroom. You gotta do your thing, okay? But it's got to be used for movie or television purposes. You can't just be driving it around to drive it around.
We're not just driving it around, sir. We are down here.
Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion of what's going on. My opinion is different.
I understand that.
Okay,
sir.
so I'm cutting you a break already.
Okay.
So why don't you guys head out here, take the car back to where it needs to go, and do your thing.
Okay. Do you mind
Make
if we
sense?
do our navigation real quick?
Yeah.
So we can go
fine.
straight back home.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you,
Go.
sir. Brad coming in clutch, bro.
I know.
Never driving this car again. Sorry, Brad, but it's one too many. He was already going to give me a citation, and he was going to give you another one. But I got you your content.
All right, now after watching that video, what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I out of my mind? Or was this cop pushing the envelope a little bit too far and letting his ego get the best of him? Mind you, you may have noticed in that video, he did not know this law until we gave him this sheet of paper. Until he gave him that piece of paper, the cop all of a sudden knew the law and came back, no, I'm going to write you up for that. He didn't even know about this law. He went straight to impersonating. So I'm curious, what do you think? Was the cop right? Am I wrong? Should I wrap this thing in hot pink and call it a day? Or was that cop just letting his ego get the best of him? And is that probably one of the biggest fears we have with some cops out there? And this cop is pretty well known in Newport Beach for being really over the top hard. He did give us a pass, which we appreciate, but I believe there's a part that he didn't want to show up to court and have to fight this thing. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was just being a kind, super nice guy, letting us off the hook. But I think in the end, it was ego that got the best of him. He could have written us up for the uncovered lights, because you're not supposed to have uncovered roof lights. That's okay. We could have got that fix-it ticket for that thing. But outside of that, I don't think there's anything else he could have got us for. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.